Okay, thank you. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to today's coffee talk session by Debrecen Business Services Roundtable. I would like to cordially welcome every viewer on our live stream today, and I hope that you can hear us loud and clear. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We very much welcome any feedback from your end. First of all, let me start with a little bit of introduction about ourselves, about Debrecen Business Service Centers Roundtable in particular. As you may know, Debrecen Business Service Centers Roundtable is a collaboration between companies, and our aim is to collaborate with the University of Debrecen in presenting solution for supporting students and young people in kickstarting their careers, and we are also supporting education. And as part of this initiative, as you may know, we have started our coffee talk sessions in 2020 with the aim of introducing people to the business service center sector, because we would like to give you an opportunity outside the university courses Debrecen BSC Roundtable offers to gain an insight into what the business service center sector is about, what we are doing, why we are doing it. And we would like to give you an opportunity to meet real people actually working in this exciting and dynamic industry. And we would like to also give you an opportunity as the audience to ask questions and interactively take part in the discussions that we are providing today. My name is Ákos Lőrincz. I'm working for United Call Centers as a sales and marketing professional for 3 years now, and I graduated from the University of Debrecen with a degree in English linguistics not so long ago, as of 2018. However, I have been working in the BSC sector for 7 years now, and previously I have been working in customer support and back office positions. And this is why it's my privilege, and I'm very grateful that I can be here today in this conversation with these 4 fantastic young professionals who we shall introduce soon, because really the BSc sector has been one of the fundamental milestones of my life since I started working in it many years ago, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity for everybody to gain experience and learn about different people and different aspects of the business world. So today we are going to talk in English, first of all, because language is one of the most important aspects of business life today, and English is pretty much the lingua franca of the business world. It's absolutely necessary. And also we are using English in our day-to-day life at the companies of the roundtable as well. And basically we would like to give you an insight into what we are doing, and the title of the current coffee talk is Life After School, which suggests that we would like to give you an idea what you can do with a degree and how you can find your place in the world after graduating. We are certain that most of you in the audience who are young people still studying at the university still have many questions about what to do with your lives and how to continue your life after your studies. And through the example of our guests, we hope to give you inspiration, motivation, and a little bit of curiosity to continue your lives after your studies. So first of all, ladies first, I would like to ask Barbie to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the company you're working for, Flowserve.
Thank you so much, Ákos. So hello everybody, welcome. I'm so glad to be here. I'm Barbara Hadobás, and I am working for the Flowserve, as you can see. I just started in January. It's really exciting to be part of this BSc, because actually I graduated in 2018 and my degree is from social pedagogy. So actually you can see it not have any common way and but with the BSC service. Actually, let's talk about a little bit about the Flowserve company. It's an industry leader company with high competitive portfolio of reliable valves and pumps and seals. Like you can ask what I am doing here as an accountant, but actually the Flowserve founded its first and only business support center in Debrecen in 2016. After that, we have an additional location in Budapest now from 2019. So at Flowserve, I'm account receivable accountant.
Fantastic. Thank you, Barbie, and thank you for accepting our invitation to this talk. It's really wonderful to have you among our group. And moving forward, I'd like to ask Talal, one of the fine gentlemen in this call, to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. So my name is Talal Khalid, and I've been working with Transcosmos for over 2 years. I graduated in mechanical engineering this year in January, but I've been working with Transcosmos for almost 2 years now. I started in as a student part-time employee, and fortunately, I was able to stay back here as full-timer. A little bit of introduction of Transcosmos. It's basically based in Japan, and it's been almost 50 plus years that Transcosmos is active, and we have offices in over 29 countries and over 167 bases. The major work that we deal with is usually customer support, e-commerce, digital marketing, and business process outsourcing. And for me, I think even though this was not my field of expertise, this is not something that I studied, this is one of the opportunities that I'm really happy about. I'm really glad that I got this opportunity.
Fantastic. Thank you, Talal. And also, by the way, here's an Easter egg. If any of you have followed our Facebook page and our YouTube account for Debrecen BSC Roundtable, you might have come across an interview recently in which also Talal was starring and has taken a part in. So please feel free to check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel to see the exclusive video in which Talal is also featured. And one of our following guests, Laci from 4IG, who is currently in Budapest, if I am not mistaken. Tell us about yourself, Laci. Hello.
Hello, Ákos. Thank you for the introduction. My name is László Szilágyi. I'm a junior IT infrastructure engineer at 4IG. I have a bachelor's degree of electrical engineering, and my job is to provide networking solutions for customers, mainly in data centers, and to support other kind of IT projects. Now, 4IG is a provider of a wide range of solutions in UAV technologies, integrated ERP and process management systems, satellite telecommunications, and in data center building and operation. And thank you for the invite.
Fantastic. Thank you, Laci. Also, it must be worth mentioning that 4IG, among other cities, has also an office in Debrecen. Hence, they are a member of the Debrecen BSC Roundtable. So I hope to see you soon in Debrecen at our next Roundtable event, Laci.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and until then, we have here with us Juan, who is, by the way, working in Debrecen and is an employee of DIEHL Aviation. Hello, Juan. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, for having me here.
Thank you, Juan. So, moving on, as I mentioned, the BSc sector is a very diverse industry. And as you can already see, we have many different people from many different backgrounds, from accounting to customer support to IT technology. And of course, many of the people who are working in this industry might have studied something else in the past. And it must be interesting to see that even though you may have various different backgrounds, and even though maybe you are studying, let's say, English literature today, or even social pedagogy, in the future you may end up in a different career path, just like Barbie. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about your experiences at the university and following that? How did you end up at Flowserve, and how did you adjust to your new position, even though you had a quite different background previously?
Exactly. Thank you. Actually, I don't know. This is the life. It's always changing. Person sure I'm a social, pedagogical, or like a social worker staff. This is what I would like to do, and my commitment was so huge for this field. But somehow, even though my university was really amazing, because I had the possibility to spend like 2 semesters in Tallinn, in Estonia. So even you can see, like, I was really into it. I wanted to like make wide my knowledge about this field. But somehow during the practices, and luckily we had some practices during the university years, I felt like for this field you have to have a, like, how can I say, like, strong heart, because emotionally it's quite stressful, let's say, kindly and nicely, like this way. And
Absolutely.
and
And by the way, you mentioned that you were studying in Tallinn. How did that change your outlook on life, or how did that contribute to your studies and later life? Do you see, what benefits do you see in your work thanks to your international experiences?
Actually, luckily, even before Estonia, I had like quite much possibility to travel abroad with my high school and some youth exchanges, because like I was part also like a volunteering NGO, and also they give many possibility to be able to travel abroad. And as I mentioned in my little introduction before, that it's really changed my also when I went to abroad, like for the first time, let's talk about now about the Tallinn experience and about the university. It was really like shocking for the first time, like how the educational system can be different from ours, and what can we implement when I'm coming home, and what can I implement and introduce to the Hungarian educational system. In Tallinn, we had like my first like a PowerPoint show or this kind of introduction. I had this first experience in Tallinn, and it was like a new.
Sounds fantastic. So it was really like a clash of cultures, I guess. And I suppose you also studying social pedagogy abroad as well, right?
Yes, exactly. I was lucky because actually they could accept my credits. They had like really similar lessons, and the semesters, like the program, it was quite similar, but a little bit more interesting, like this way. And also I was lucky because my English knowledge was getting better in that. I am that person who would love to speak English, but the grammar should be a little bit better. But the university helped me a lot abroad.
How did these experiences, especially using the language abroad, contribute to your adjustment and your beginnings in the BSc sector? How did you adjust to your new position, and how did your studies factor in? What advantages did you have thanks to these?
Actually, in the first meeting, or I didn't mention that. I mentioned that also I was working at the Transcosmos, and I was quite young, and that was the first like field that I could use my English knowledge, and it was a really difficult time, let's say, but it was really, and so also that time helped me to be able to like join to the BSc and to the Flowserve. About the language and what, like,
Do you
I
use, by the way,
became more...
English during your day-to-day work? Is it a part of corporate culture and working for a major corporation? So do you see a great use of English?
Yes, and thank you so much for mentioning, because it's really important for me to mention that that my degree, you know, it already that it's totally different. But when I was like applying for the job, I'm curious if it's okay for them that I don't have any like accounting degree or something like that. And I was really happy that they give me a possibility, because most of the time they just wanted to have like somebody whose soft skills are quite good, and the language skills as well. So this is the way that I could join to the Flowserve, for example. And yes, we are using the English day by day, and I forget to mention that this company is a US-based company. So most of the time, with the sites, with the other colleagues, we have to speak in English.
That sounds great, and that explains a lot. I mean, your English is really, really amazing, and it really shows that you are using it on a day-to-day basis. And I see some kind of parallel here between your background and I guess between Talal's background, because if I'm not mistaken, Talal, you also had studies which are a little bit different from what you are doing today, since you are working in customer support. And it's also interesting see that in a major corporation, there are times when people, of course, are moving from one company to another. Just like Barbie mentioned, she also shared some experiences working for Transcosmos, and myself as well in my career, I have been working for them. So did your studies in any way benefit your work today, or are they very different? And basically, what were your expectations when you were first starting to work in this industry? How did your expectations change, and what experiences did you have?
All right, so what I actually studied mechanical engineering, it's nowhere closely related to what I'm actually doing right now. But it's not to say that whatever you're learning or whatever experiences you're having are completely useless. There's always something or the other you can carry forward to, you can apply to anything, even if it's nothing to do with engineering. I'm sure I learned a lot from my university, which I'm putting forward right now. Coming back to the initial starting at Transcosmos, initially I tried to get some feedback when I just moved to Hungary and wanted to continue my studies here. And quite frankly, the feedback from outside, from other students who moved over here, was not positive. So I was a bit hesitant to start working in one of the BSc sectors. But previously, right now, you have a lot of opportunities for students. There are many more companies moving to Debrecen, and there's a lot of more opportunities for foreign nationals who are coming here as students to proceed forward with some kind of career, whichever they would like to choose. But 3.5 years back, when we started out over here, it wasn't much options back then, in my opinion, and there was nothing positive from feedback that I could get. I just took it, so I just
How did your
went ahead and
experiences change, by the way, and what feedback did you get? I mean, you have been coming here as an expat, so to speak, so like a foreign national, and you have been, I guess, traveling in different countries. So what was your first impression when you have come to Debrecen, for example, as a student studying here, looking for opportunities?
So first thing, I was very excited because this was a completely different part of the world that I hadn't been to before. I previously spent a lot of time in Asia and in many different countries, but moving to a completely different background or culture, I was excited, to say the least. But because I've been moving on a lot since I finished my high school, I've actually gotten used to moving around and seeing different new places. So overall, in the beginning, everything was very positive. It was just a minor, let's just say, inconvenience in the sense that not back then, not a lot of people saw foreigners coming in as students. So definitely, it's a cultural shock for them as well. But compared to back then and now, you can definitely see that everyone is much more accepting and open, regardless of where you're from. That again, I think has a lot to do with these new companies that are promoting foreigners, students to work as part-time and to give them opportunities. I think it's a win-win for everyone, for the locals who are here and for any students who are joining here.
Absolutely, that sounds great, and I'm happy to hear that you've been able to adjust and had improving experiences here. And I think, especially as a student, it's kind of difficult to experience a different culture, especially when you are meeting that for the first time. Did you have anything similar experiences, Barbie, in Tallinn or in any other countries you have visited? Did you have like a cultural shock, or was it very different from your experiences in Hungary, studying here and living here?
Actually, I was thinking about like how can I say that I had cultural shock in my own country, because like I spent 2 years in Budapest, and actually because I lived in Tallinn for a longer time and I lived in Istanbul for a longer time. But if I could compare, Budapest was the hardest, and I had a shock there. So, because really kindly and politely, they're a little bit more rushing and impolite in the capital city. That can be understandable, and also going from Debrecen to Budapest, lots of people around, and everything is completely different. But abroad, I really felt like home. Mostly Istanbul, you know, they are so like kindly, and I guess, and in my opinion, they're also a little bit for like us. In Tallinn, like a positive cultural shock was that on that time they are really how can I say, like upgraded in the using the Wi-Fi, and the university was like technically perfect. And comparing to my Hungarian university, it was different, but it was a positive.
Of course, and I really hope that you have gained some these experiences and you've been able to use them to your advantage eventually during your career. Now that you mentioned that Budapest is kind of a different place, especially compared to Debrecen, let's see, what do you think? Are there many opportunities in Budapest for a young student to get started in life? What was your experience when you first started studying at the university? And did your expectations or career change from originally what you imagined for yourself when you first started seeing? How did it work for you?
Sorry, I didn't hear last part of the question. But...
Oh, sorry. So basically, did your expectations change after you started working?
Well, during college, I had a lot of student work opportunities through school cooperatives. In Budapest, there are a lot of them. But I only started to search for a job after I completed approximately 2/3 of my education, because I was focusing on school. And then I tried myself in the industry. I wanted to, and to learn from effective work, not just from seminars and laboratory practices. So I eventually got employed by Telekom Hungary as a server hosting operator at their data centers, where I learned a lot about how to communicate and handle with customers and how to work at a data center environment. I worked there approximately a year. Then in my final semester, I got employed by 4iG as an intern, where I got a lot of help for my final project at college. And after I got my degree, I got the position that I'm in today. And if I give a piece of advice to students, the balance between work and study is very important while you study.
Were you able to maintain the work-life balance during your studies? And this question also goes out to everybody in the call. So I'm sure most of you had the experience of working at the same time studying. So what were your way of coping with this, and how did you manage your schedules? Did you have any tips, tricks up your sleeve, or did you use any special methods to plan your life? how did you manage to, adjust your life between studying, working, and, having a personal life as a young person going to college?
These kind of works are really, how can I say it? You can go work whenever you want, basically. So it's very
Flexible.
Yeah, flexible. Thank you. Thank you for the word. I forgot it. So I could study. I could do anything I wanted. But you have a minimum time what you have to work in a week. So that's the balance that you can make.
That sounds great. And I guess also this was also related to your studies, so you kind of worked in the same area. Did this also affect your studies? Did this improve your performance at the university? Did you see any benefits from working?
Some of the studies that I took, it had common points, but not all of it.
Of course. And just like Talal mentioned earlier, no matter what you study, there are always takeaways, right? Which you can use in your life at work and in your career, no matter what you are studying. And do I remember correctly, Talal, that you were also studying when you first started to work? Were you starting to work as a part-timer or as a student?
So I think the good thing about working here in Debrecen, especially in BSC, was it was very lenient and very flexible. So we could come up with our own shifts, and if there was something pending from the university side, they were always very understanding. So we could always change our shifts with short notices as well. And on top of that, I think this is just part of life that everyone needs to pick up on. You need to be able to balance everything. So it wasn't. I don't think it was such a big issue for most people that are working here, because it's just about flexibility. As long as the place that you're working in is flexible and understanding, I think working and studying can go hand in hand.
That sounds great, and I think it's something that that can greatly benefit you and give you better perspectives. And speaking of studies, we have someone here who has quite a technical field of expertise and studies. Juan, would you like to tell us about your studies and work at DIEHL Aviation? I think that you started to work after finishing your studies for DIEHL Aviation, but can you tell us a little bit about your personal interest, especially regarding this space engineering? Because from your introduction in Facebook, I think it's quite a field, and it's not many of us that could imagine ourselves in. So how did you end up in this field of study, first of all?
Thanks. Yes, that's pretty much like a childhood dream. Whenever you ask a kid what he want to do when he grows up, my answer always was astronaut. So I grew up with that in mind. The closest thing we have back in Colombia is aeronautical engineering. So I started there with my bachelor's. Later, I had the opportunity to work in the academic sector. Also, I taught a little bit in my university while I was doing my master's there, which is focused on industrial management and industrial processes. And after a while working there, it was definitely a must for me to go into the space sector. So I decided to do a second master's in Italy, in Milan, for the space engineering. And yeah, I was lucky enough that afterwards I managed to find a job, not specifically in the space sector, but aviation sector, which is also like a big passion of mine. So yeah, I can consider myself lucky to be working on what I studied and what I like.
That sounds great, and it's almost a dream come true. I mean, it seems that for you, the phrase "the sky is no longer the limit" is literally true. So eventually, you will reach the stars one way or another. And now that you have mentioned you are from Colombia, I'm sure you had quite interesting experiences, just like Talal and Barbie, traveling around the world and adjusting to a different culture. How did it come about for you? So when you first arrived in Debrecen, what experiences did you have, or in Europe? After all, Colombia is in a very different part of the world with a very different culture. So how did you feel when you first came here, and how did you fit in?
Well, as you mentioned, I come from basically the other side of the world, and the culture is very different. But somehow I always managed to find like nice people and the proper people to interact with. And I consider myself again lucky here. I haven't had any bad experiences. Culturally, we're very different, but there's always the chance for dialogue, and it's been nice. I had not the best timing to get here. I arrived on January last year, and right about the time where quarantine started. So basically my interaction was the work colleagues and coming home. So yeah, I'm just right about now starting to experience the city properly.
That sounds very interesting, and I think we all agree that Debrecen is probably the best when COVID is not around, and probably this time of the year, including last year, was really a difficult time for everybody. And I think most of you had to work from home most of the time, as it is customary in the BSc sector, since we are working with only a computer and internet connection. Most of us can do their work from home if required. And I will also like to ask about your experiences about working from home. But before we continue, I'd like to give the opportunity to our audience to ask any questions. And my suggestion would be to do this using Menti, so we can receive your feedback. So please allow me to share my screen with you. And here you can see the Menti. Let me just go into presentation mode. So if you are in the audience and if you would like to learn more about our guests, the BSc sector, what it feels like to start working in this sector after completing your studies, or what it feels like to be an expat in Hungary and coming to this city from abroad, then please visit menti.com, hit the following code in, and you can access the questionnaire, and you can ask us any questions. Feel free to fire away and use this opportunity to learn more about generally the sector we are living in, about other countries, and about people. I'm going to leave this screen here for a minute or two, just to give you an opportunity to ask any questions if you like. And in the meanwhile, so now that you mentioned, Juan, that you have come to Debrecen right after the COVID situation hit, I think you have been also working from home and probably also working from the office. What are your preferences? Which one is more suitable for your working style? Do you prefer the solitude of working from home, or do you prefer the office environment?
Working from home can be very comfortable, because of course it's just your place. You can just take coffee or whatever snack you feel like, and you can manage yourself, your time schedule. But I would definitely go to the office if I have the chance. Fortunately, I could, because we work on a server. Like DIEHL Aviation is located on Germany, and we're working through a server, and there's some security issues, which doesn't make it that easy to work at home, since industrial secrets and stuff. But yeah, I enjoy much more going to the office, just interacting with people. Yeah, you can get lonely at home.
Prior to the COVID outbreak, was it customary in Colombia to work from home? Was it something that happened regularly, or was it very rare?
No, it's very rare. Usually companies, university will require you to go to the office and be presential work time.
That makes sense. So it was probably quite a new experience for you as well. I think even in Debrecen, it was something new for most of us. And I know it for a fact that most of us have been working from home as well. What were your experiences, Talal, at Transcosmos? Did you have the opportunity to work at home, and which one would be more suitable or more preferred by you or your team?
So I did have the opportunity just for a while. I was working from home for maybe 3-4 weeks. Me personally, I still prefer to work from the office. I like to get into the whole environment, to get in the mood before I start working from home. It just makes a bit more difficult to get into the whole mindset of working. And on top of that, I think I'm a bit more social person, and for me to function properly, I need to have a lot of interactions. And because of that, I simply didn't prefer to work from home. I would always prefer to work from the office.
That makes sense. And I think most of us agree that working from home requires a different mindset. What about your experiences, Barbie? Is working from the office more advantageous for you in your work, or is home office allowing you to focus more and become more productive?
Actually, like I would say 50-50. It was a new experience also for me that I started in January this year. So already I arrived to that station that everybody is working from home. And even my interview was like online. So, but before that, my experiences was always in real and face-to-face jobs. For example, in Budapest, it was like in a cosmetics shop, I was a shop trainer. So exactly it requires to me to be there with the shop assistants and communicate and, you know, like smile, and with your personality also you are working. And when I decided to come back to Debrecen, I had a short time to think, and I was really glad, and I'm still very glad and happy that I had these few months to be able to like relax after this moving and just to think. And also this pandemic situation made me have, I felt like I must rethink a little bit my life and what my expectation was from a workplace. And this was the moment when I decided that home office can be okay for me, and that I have to like adjust my expectations and previous life experiences to this new and this pandemic situation. So after this, when I had this decision, luckily I got this possibility with the Flowserve, but it was so funny that you know, like you cannot build from a previous experience, because I had always a face-to-face interviews. And when I was preparing, you know, my first interview, like, you know, like a girly thing, like makeup or something like this. And it turned out that it was like, it was on Skype or via Skype, and even the camera wasn't turned on. So still, like I'm working like 5, almost 6 months with the company. I didn't meet with my team members, and it's a little bit crazy, but this is the way. Like we have to always adjust and have these new experiences. In this moment, I say I would prefer the home office with a little bit of office time, like from 5 days, let's say, going to the office for 4 days. I have like a big family, or let's say like we are so close to each other, so I could use my time, and also I'm volunteering. So somehow during the home office, I could manage my shifts like more. Like,
so it contributed to your work-life balance after all, I guess. It gives you a lot more flexibility, and
exactly,
I guess
exactly.
the takeaway is that it's something that will be very useful in the future as well. Let's see, what are your experiences, by the way, in the IT field? How does home office factor into your job? What are your experiences?
I mean, home office has an upside and a downside too. The best part of it is that I can save the travel time to the office and back to home, and I can move more freely during the day. It's more flexible with my time, but I can only meet my colleagues online, and I feel a lot of time that if I work with someone on a project, the communication would be so much better if it would be in an office discussing in person these details. And I think too that the ideal solution would be a mix of home office and real office, and a 1 or 2 day home office in a 5-day work week. It would be manageable, yeah. But sometimes I have to go to the field to clients to deploy IT network devices in data centers. So it's not a full-time home office for me.
That's interesting, and I think most of us are on board that it would be better to have somehow a balance between being present face-to-face and being online, so kind of like a mixture. People who are starting to work in the near future will have probably a very different experience compared to like myself. 7 years ago, home office was probably only a very, very rare experience and very occasional, like days in a year during very special occasions. And in my experience, probably home office is here to stay in this industry, and it's going to be a lot more frequent even after the situation changes and improves. However, currently most of you have experienced working in an office environment and also before the COVID, and you have also experienced the transitioning to a home office environment. What would be your piece of advice to people starting to work in the near future and working either entirely from home office or like 50% of the time for home office? How can they fit in? What would be your piece of advice for them? What essential skills they can use to do their job? Talal, how about you? What's your experience in this matter?
Well, I think this usually comes down to two things. It's the personal preferences, and not just that. It depends on how well a person can be flexible enough to be work home or from the office. It basically just comes down to that, in my opinion. It shouldn't make much difference to someone who really wants to get stuff done if they have any task. But again, towards a certain extent, some people are just made up in a certain way. I will talk about myself, and I know for me, even though I'm comfortable working from home, I just prefer to work from the office. It's just the whole environment that makes me a bit more efficient and capable, in my opinion.
That sounds great. Thank you, Talal. And Juan and Barbie, since you have started to work basically almost in home office entirely, what are your pieces of advice? How can one adjust themselves to this kind of teamwork in the virtual world? Starting with Barbie.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I remember that the previous coffee talk, my director of Flowserve, director of the Flowserve was also like attend, and he mentioned a really nice advice or like an experience that he needed to learn how to work from home. So he really needed to make a schedule and really wake up like in time and settle down and to just follow like a kind of, at least like a kind of schedule, like how we would do actually naturally in the office. Because sometimes like we think like home office can be a little bit like, okay, flexible, but more comfortable. But in the same time, we have to like really learn how to be productive. I didn't have any problem with this. It was a surprise also for me that I could fit and I could have my schedule. And I'm not strict with myself, but the work have to be done. So we have to do it.
That's the point at the end of the day, I guess. And what about you, Juan? Do you have any tips or tricks, any special experiences regarding working from home, or what skills are very useful in this regard, in your opinion, when you're working in the virtual space?
Well, I haven't been working that much time at home office. It's been probably a couple of months the whole entire year. But definitely, as previously mentioned, schedule yourself. Just be able to force yourself to follow a routine, because otherwise it would get entirely a mess. And find different spaces for particular tasks. Don't work from your bed, or just, I don't know, the desk is gonna be your living room or something like that. The office, determine a space for office and the space for home, inside your home, of course. But yeah, I would say that that will give you, like, keep your mental health a bit better.
It's important to make a separate work life, your personal life, because many times, like myself, I find myself that it's very difficult to transition, because when you are working from the office, obviously you have the morning commute and then you are going back home. And I believe that even the physical separation from the workplace can help you to transition to like resting mode after work. But if you are working from home, usually these borders disappear. And Lassi, you have mentioned that often in your line of work, it will be more advantageous to meet people face to face, but of course you cannot always do that. So what can you do to make your work easier, to better work in a team in the online world? Do you have any best practices?
You know, you will eventually get used to it. As you guys mentioned earlier, you have to somehow separate the office life and the home life. I don't have any special idea of in that regard. So you guys told everything I would say.
So basically, you just have to brace yourself and keep doing the job.
Yeah, but this depends on the person too. So
definitely, it has been said that some people are more suited to working from home. Some people perhaps are more extroverted and need the human connection in their day-to-day life, having a coffee break with the colleagues. And I think it's very interesting to see how this will change in the future. Also, on a different note, as the audience can see, we are working in a quite diverse environment with many different people. Not only the colleagues are from different countries from all over the world, but many times the customers or the clients are from many different countries. And you have mentioned fantastic examples of traveling and working in different countries, but for somebody starting to work in this multinational sector, what can help to be more open-minded, or how can somebody take the advantage of a diverse multinational environment? For example, Talal, what do you think that can help somebody thrive and become successful in such an environment?
Well, in my opinion, the way that it works basically is that you need to be understanding, you need to be sensitive of everyone's background, especially in a place where you have a lot of different people coming in together. Definitely everyone is of different nature, different backgrounds. So we just need to be a bit more careful how we deal with different people. And that's one skill that I think is very important. And especially now with the BSc, the way that it's improving in Debrecen, I think that is being promoted, in my opinion. Maybe a few years back, you wouldn't have seen these many foreign nationals working in Debrecen, but definitely that's changing, and it has to do more with being accepting. You cannot impose your ideas or your beliefs onto someone else, and just being open and accepting everyone for who they are. I think that is the way to go.
That's great, and I think it's perfectly in line with with my personal experiences in this industry. I mean, except for the university, this industry is where I have met people from other countries for the first time, and it's been, I think, a fantastic and very enlightening experience for me personally. How about you, Barbie? You have met many different people from many different companies, countries before. How can somebody adjust to people from different cultures, and how can you make the best of a diverse environment? What's your side of the coin?
Actually, it's a difficult question because, like, I had possibilities already from my primary school, or let's say, like, from the high school. We had really nice exchanges and programs where we could meet already, like, experts or like different people. And you know, on that time, like, you have to be like open and as Talal said, like, understanding, and also you are new for them, so like we have to learn how to deal with these new experiences and new situations. I love to be like Talal mentioned that he's like sociable and interactions and kind of like this. I am the same, and sometimes I can find like more common topics with the foreign guys, for example, because you know, like, I traveled a lot and we could share some experiences. So just also Talal mentioned understanding, I would just additionally say like empathy is important in any way. If you are not a foreign person, like just know each other's background and accept, be open, and if you are open and how can I say, like accepting the situations or adjust to them, like life will give really nice possibilities and really nice experiences if you stand with this like behavior, let's say like that.
That sounds very great and very useful, Barbie. Thank you. And Juan, do you agree with what the guys have said before? And how do you usually manage these cultural differences? You mentioned that you have been studying in different countries. You have moved from Colombia to Europe. How do you handle these events in your life?
Well, definitely, as previously said, I agree 100%. First and foremost, like, respect and be sensitive to others' point of view. You come from a very different place, and yeah, you just gotta be respectful first and foremost.
And keep an open mind, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But from like, there's also an important perspective, and it is try not to take things like very seriously, because again, for you, your country is very important, but other people probably do not understand situations in particular. So try just to understand their perspective as well. Like, again, respect, but if it's being disrespectful, that's another story. But just try to, instead of getting offended, give some context explaining if the other people is willing to listen to you. And on the other side, me as new to a culture is expect yourself to be wrong, make a mistake, offend someone as well, and just accept your mistakes. And if you
So basically,
offend someone, just accept you were wrong, and that's way easier way to go.
So basically, you have to have empathy, I guess, and you need to be understanding and be able to receive the other person's ideas and culture and viewpoint. How do you see this, Latsi? How do you handle working in a multinational environment? Do you experience similar when you are working with clients or colleagues?
You know, I don't really have this kind of experiences. I mostly work with Hungarian colleagues. I barely communicate with international partners, and if I do it on email, and there everybody's kind of polite to each other. So you guys mentioned some great things, to be polite and understandable. That would be my advice too. So
That sounds great. And now that you mentioned that you experience politeness in this industry, does everybody feel the same? How do you think communication is in this sector when you are working with people in general, or when you are communicating with leaders, executives? How do you experience that, Barbie?
I have again a funny story about this. Like when I joined to the BSc, like in March, we were preparing for the coffee talk. I mean the previous one, and the director of the Flowserve, I needed to write for him an email to ask for a little introduction, and I was the one who was like sending these files to you. So you know, like I was like kind of scared. Like how can I write an email for him? How should I introduce myself, and what kind of language and what kind of words should I use? And you know, I wrote a very long email just explaining what I need in a very, very formal and this kind of way. And you know, like it was fine. I was reading it 100 times to be the most polite. And what he wrote back like, "Hi Barbie, yeah, sure, here it is." Like you know, like I felt like a little bit like it was funny but embarrassing in the same time. So my experience about this, that sometimes we think like we have to be like too much polite and formal, but actually in the everyday kind, it's an informal and still polite and kind. So yeah, this was funny experience.
That's interesting to see, and I share this view that when I first started working, I thought that everything is going to be much more strict and much more serious, but many times people are very laid back. You share the same experiences, Talal? Did your experience or expectations change? So what did you think before you started to work in this industry, and did your expectations change about it?
Definitely. So like I mentioned previously, all the feedback that I got from any foreign students that international students were here was not in the best of the light. And obviously hearing the same thing over and over again, that's how you think it's going to be. But that it was just a risk that I was willing to take. It's just a chance that I wanted to take. In my opinion, you should always be working or doing something to support yourself. I think it's just a life skill that everyone needs. So when I did join here, it was a complete opposite of what I had heard, and I think that's one of the reasons that I did stick here. Plus the opportunities that gave to me, regardless of where I'm from or if I'm a student, I was given equal opportunities. Everyone was very understanding, and I can be thankful enough for all the opportunities that were given to me.
That sounds fantastic. Do you share the same notions, the same ideas, Laci? Did your expectations change about working in this environment? And you mentioned that you are mostly working with Hungarian colleagues, but I suppose you are also working with people on different levels of management. How is communication between the colleagues? Is it very formal? Is it informal, friendly, laid back? Can you chit-chat with your colleagues?
There are 2 or 3 types of emails, in my opinion. So if you communicate with your colleagues, you don't have to be so formal. You just have to write something like if you are chatting with them. But I think if you want something from your superior, you have to be more formal, but not so formal if you are communicating with a client. So if you write an email to a client or to a partner, you should watch your grammar, your language, what you use. So these are my experiences in that regard.
Yes, so basically, I guess there's a difference between talking to your buddies at work and talking to customers and clients. How do you see the differences, Juan, between the business communication in Europe, let's say, and back at home? Do you see any differences? Are the European colleagues more informal or more strict, more serious? Do you see any important differences in this regard?
Well, what I could say is before coming here, I had a mindset about like a preconception, stereotype of what I was going to find here. It was a little bit mistaken. I had in
Is it
mind.
positively or is it a negative change of preconceptions? How do you see that?
I wouldn't say it's negative or positive, it's just different. Back at home, we have this mindset that Europeans, like Northern Europeans, are like more squared, more strict. They're just like very serious, cold people. And then I came here and I just felt like interacting with any other friend. I've been working a lot with Germans. And at the beginning, I thought like I gotta be serious and strict with them, very straightforward. And then I'm just like having these meetings, laughing, making jokes. So all within the working parameters, but it's a really relaxed environment, to be honest. So
that sounds great, and I think that helps teamwork a lot when you can freely talk to your colleagues and express your ideas, and you are met with open-minded people. I think we can generally say that about our sector. And now that we are at the end of our talk, can I just ask you guys to give, let's say, one piece of advice to people starting out after school, like in 1 minute each? What would you suggest to somebody who is still thinking how can they make the best out of their life? And ladies first, Barbie, can you please let us know your thoughts?
Like I mentioned in my introduction, my mission is to support the youth to be able to get experience from themselves. And if I can like think about my life and how my career and life path is going, it contains some unexpected changes, but to be able to adjust those changes and never afraid of changing or adjusting their mindset. This is so important, and to be open, even if you don't feel like that field is fitting for you, like be able to change or ask and really like take part in this kind of events to be able to know more about some fields and knowledge.
Thank you, Barbie. Juan, what is your message to the future generations of Debrecen and of the world?
I would just tell to you, just say yes. Any opportunity you have in front of you, just take it and make the best of it. And yeah, always 100% what you're doing, even if it's on your area, not your area, as long as you like it, just go for it.
Sounds great. Thank you, Juan. Laci, what would be your message to fellow students who are still in school?
So if you want to work in the IT sector, it demands constant learning because of new hardware and software technologies appear every year. So you have to be willing to learn new things from time to time.
That sounds great. I mean, like they say, it's a lifelong learning. It's very important, especially today. And it's important to make the best out of it and learn new things. It's the same for me in sales and marketing. There's so much to learn. One life is not long enough to do that. And last but not least, Talal, what would you recommend to somebody taking the first step of their career?
In my opinion, I would say to always try to gather as much experience as possible. Don't just base all your decisions on the feedback that you're seeing from outside. In my opinion, no experience goes wasted. So the worst case scenario is you still learn something out of, even if it's a place that you don't fit in, something that you don't prefer to stay in any kind of an office. I think you can still learn a lot, and you can still take away something that's going to help you somewhere down the line. And that is something that has been missing. A lot of people take very calculated risks, and in my opinion, you should take everything. Like just go with it. Whatever opportunities you're getting, try to see what you can learn from it. And again, just be an open-minded person.
That's the most important thing. I fully agree with everybody, and basically there's nothing that I can add to this. Fantastic thoughts. So as a closing word, let me just mention that I think the BSc sector, for me personally, has given me fantastic opportunities to meet fantastic people such as yourselves. and it really broadened my perspective and also improved my English a lot. Even though I graduated with a degree in English, I think it's always very important to practice your language skills and keep it refreshed from time to time. And having the opportunity to talk to real life people in your target language is a huge plus. So that will be my takeaway. Barbie, Talal, Juan, and Latsi, thank you for joining us today. It's been very nice to meet you, and let me wish you good luck and the best your careers in the BSc sector and in Debrecen and Budapest, of course. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us and with the audience as well. If you have any questions in the audience that you would like to know, then please feel free to message us on Facebook or LinkedIn. Make sure to follow us for the next event of Debrecen BSC Roundtable, and hope to see you soon, hopefully not in the virtual environment, but in the future, we will hopefully organize real-life events where we can meet face-to-face with the team here and with the audience as well. So thank you very much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure, and see you soon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
Having us.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Bye.
afternoon, everybody.
Likewise. Bye.
Bye, you too.
Bye bye.